Hello and welcome everyone to another episode here at the Women's Mountain Bike Network. Today I have a really special guest. This guest has spent more than a decade at the highest level of sports, not just winning races, but building a career that has lasted, evolved, and adapted over time. It is none other than fellow Aussie, Caroline Buchanan.
Hello.
Caroline is a multi-discipline racer, 2-time Olympian, and 8-time world champion across BMX and mountain biking. She's raced on the biggest stages in the world, carried expectations that come with being one of the best, and learned what it takes to stay in the game when the spotlight shifts and the seasons change. Caroline is known for being technically strong, physically prepared, and mentally composed. But today, the conversation isn't just about titles or podiums. It's about the full arc of a career, how it begins before anyone is watching, and the demands it takes when you're at its peak. And also, more exciting, Caroline is joining a new chapter of her life where she's going to be a mom. So I'd love to talk to her a little bit about that, how she's handling that while still riding her bike, and a little advice for the young folks listening as well, or women just starting out. Caroline, thank you so much. I've been waiting to talk to you for so long. Welcome to the
Very
podcast.
exciting. I know we were trying to schedule it end of last year, and I felt like I had to be unhonest to you. I was like, can we just push it into the new year? Because I hadn't announced being a mum yet, and I was like, I can't really talk about my change of schedules and racing and everything yet. So no, it feels really amazing now to just be so authentic with my sponsors in this new chapter and what my new plans look like this year, and chat to you.
That's
So thank you for
incredible.
having me.
And when you said that last year, I was like, oh, that's okay. Maybe she's got a big sponsor or something else she's bringing on board. And then when I saw your announcement, I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Yes.
And so how far along are you now, if you don't mind sharing that with us?
Yeah, so almost halfway, which is
Oh,
crazy.
wow.
Yeah, the first obviously 3 months were quite challenging, and I was excited to not have an off season. I was like, yes, this is going to be easy. I don't need to do my off season training. I get a rest. And then the nausea kicked in. I was like, give me an off season any day.
Oh, no, you poor thing. Are you still having nausea now?
No, not really. Not as bad.
Okay.
So more in the phase of leading into Red Bull Hardline. So doing the commentary on the Finnish Corral next week in Tasmania.
Yeah.
It's the start of our Australian summer series here in mountain biking. So we've got a big Cannonball Festival. Still planning night rides and doing things for sponsors and continuing to work. So still riding, but obviously the risk. Literally straight away, my body was like a different person.
Isn't that incredible? Like, you're such an athlete and your body is conditioned to be at its peak. And now you have this human growing inside of you and everything just shifts.
Yeah, literally.
There's another adaptation.
Full rampage, and I was commentating and I was walking the course, and I was instantly so risk adverse and scared for everyone's safety. And I was like, hang on a minute. I've done first front flips myself and named it the Superwoman instead of the Superman trick, and always been like super fearless.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I was like climbing up behind the battleship and watching the girls drop in and just concerned for everyone's safety. So I was like, what's happening? I was pregnant at the time. And here we are.
Well, I missed you. I was supposed to be there and I couldn't make it this year. But, that kind of, before I get to the questions, that's interesting because what happens if your kid, and I don't know if you've announced if it's a boy or girl and you don't have to, but what happens if they then want to do this crazy, not BMX, it's crazy in and of itself what you do, but you know what I mean? Like hardline and rampage and that kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
I'll have to know what my parents have gone through with me as
That's right.
having all these insane goals and many hospital trips over the years. But yeah, I mean, who knows? We're going to keep it a surprise. Not sure if it's a boy or a girl. It's already raced Sea Otter Australia with me. Exciting. It's already been on the podium, so it's pretty. Hopefully, it's a sporty child already.
That's awesome. Are you coming to Sea Otter here in the US this year?
I will have to miss Sea Otter over there, just due to flying. So my schedule this year looks like Hardline in a couple of weeks. We've got Cannonball Australia. I've been doing some night rides. Did a big night ride in Australia for like 40 of the Dirt Maidens women.
Oh my God.
And I'm doing another one with Ride Wrap and Trek coming up, which it's just been fun, like providing all these night rides and night lights and going for like rides with big groups of people. Just makes mountain biking like a little bit more
Yeah.
accessible. It makes some green trails feel like they're blacks, and
Yes.
yeah, it's just an experience that not everyone gets to have. So yeah, a few more night rides. My first job back sounds like it will be Rampage in October, so I'll be able to travel back overseas by then. But yeah, baby due like end of June. So
Wow.
um, yeah, it's exciting and terrifying all at the same time. And I think the kind of skill sets that you learn as an athlete, like you build resilience through sport. And
Yep.
I think it just teaches you that number one fundamental of like how to pivot, how to reinvent, how to come back
Yep.
during adversity. And I think those same skill sets are the best things that I can take into being a mother. And I'm just ready for like, all right.
I mean, you're highly adaptable. You're known for those moments, and I have no doubt you're going to be an incredible mom. Exciting time.
Nice. Exciting. Don't have a birthday,
Um,
don't have a lot of things organized, but I do have their first bike, so that's a priority.
I saw that you got a little Trek balance bike.
I do, yeah, it's getting ride
Oh,
this week and little ODI grips put on it, little DD seat post. I'm like, it's gonna be the most pimped out little balance.
wow. My godson my nephew is going to have some competition because I'm taking him a balance bike too. I did not know Trek made them until I saw your thing, to be perfectly honest. So I got him a Provello kids bike and I put his name on it. And I also changed the grips on there as well. But he does not have a deity seat on there.
Mm,
Maybe I need to change that.
it's quite custom, but I feel very
Oh, that's awesome. I wanted to start things off just talking a little bit about the beginning of you before titles, right? Like, take us back to the beginning. What did writing look like for you before it was a profession, like before it was serious?
yeah, well, I was probably back as far as like my parents can remember and realize like I was gonna be an individual sport athlete. We were watching like we went to a library and got some videos, and mum just thought I was gonna get some Disney princess like thing. And I was into gymnastics at the time, got like a documentary on Nadia Comaneci, who won like a
Yep.
perfect 10 at the Olympic Games. And I wanted this documentary. And then mum said I just sat there as a 3-year-old and watched this like over and over and over and over again. And she's like, okay, well, we knew she liked gymnastics. And now like we can see some kind of obsession for performance, and maybe she's going to be an athlete. We don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and fast forward to 5, my brother got into BMX, and that was sort of when I just followed him and was like, "Well, if you climb a tree, I'm climbing a tree," like, admittedly a little tomboy.
Love it.
And, yeah, we both got into racing. My dad got into racing, and it was like that natural progression of, like, club through to state, through to national titles, when I was 8 in Melbourne, and then had the opportunity to go to the Worlds. And my dad's mum lived in Wales in the UK, so
Yep.
my dad's like, "Well, I gotta go do a bit of business. Like, would love to see my mom. The Worlds are in Paris. Like, why don't we go to the world titles?" Um, so yeah, I kind of had to decide between getting my black belt in Taekwondo and then going to the Worlds with my Cabbage Patch Kid as a 9-year-old.
Wow. That's
And
amazing.
I think that was the pivotal point of like, yes, I'm a BMX racer, and saw the global stage and the opening ceremonies and all the countries, and unclipped in the semi-final and was devastated. I was like, "What, Dad? Like, we need better clip pedals. Like, we're coming back next year." Um, yeah, and that just kind of started the hunger for like for racing and just seeing what was out there in the world
Yeah.
beyond local BMX track, and just became obsessed.
From the wee age of 5 to 9, it clicked in for you then. That's
Fast.
amazing. I
Yeah, which
didn't
I
know
think
you were originally from Melbourne.
I'm actually from Canberra, but we just went to the
Oh.
Worlds in Melbourne.
Oh,
Yeah, my brother was racing as well, so it became like a whole family sport. But
got it,
yeah, I
got
think looking back, if there was any pivotal thing that I'm like learnt from my parents, it's like they gave me that exposure early, and that just was really the catalyst. Like once I saw all the country flags and I saw like this whole celebration and that BMX was like on this global stage,
yeah.
I was like, okay, like, oh, this is what I want to do.
Let's go. Why not? Would you say that your parents were the ones who believed in you the most, like, before the results, before any of that stuff, they were the support system that you had at that young age?
Yeah, definitely. I think it was that bit of idolization to my brother and just wanting to do anything he did. But yeah, having
Yes.
supportive parents that like give those opportunities. And I think it was that exposure at a young age
Yeah.
really ignited like that flame and passion. And yeah, we traveled a lot from that point on. And I was hungry, went back to the Worlds the following year in Argentina and then took a few years off. But ultimately, like I was never actually like technically a very good rider. Like I still to this day can't double manual very well or I've kind of like I guess you could say like flexed my strengths and avoided my weaknesses and
Nothing wrong with that.
yeah, just technically like was never the most talented rider on a bike, but would train so much harder. I had this like philosophy that if I trained hard, then I would race easy and was always looking for like gaps in the sport of like where I could be better or get that edge or just get out
Mhm.
in front and out of trouble, especially with BMX racing. You want to be out of the pack down that 8-meter start ramp.
Yeah.
And that kind of set the tone and set the difference between yeah, being able to be, like, the best in the world, but it really was, like, yeah, from a young age, I was one of the last girls to start jumping. I was always the one that would, like, kinda sit back and a bit more analytical, like, I would watch others jump it, I would, like, watch footage of it, I would follow a boy in, like, I'd kinda
Yeah.
have this, like, calculated approach to it, so,
Yeah.
yeah, it didn't come natural, I guess you could say, or quickly. It was very, like methodical and trained, and then as I got older, then things started clicking, so, yeah, I didn't win a world title until I was in elite, even though I'd been to, like, so many world championships, yeah, I was never that, like, child star
But
athlete.
that speaks to your work ethic and the raw I disagree with you, I still think you have raw talent because it comes from that work ethic and just like you said, you step back, you're analytical, you watch. That is talent right there too, because some people don't think they just do and then they get themselves into trouble. And that you know what I'm saying? Like that's I will I will respectfully disagree with you on that one. Um,
The kids that are watching or mountain bikers, it's like, if you aren't the best at something or you know there's things you can work on, like,
yeah,
yeah, take that inspiration from me. Like, it took years of hard work to get to winning that first world championship, and then once you're there and you understand how to win and then how to defend those titles and maintain that longevity, and for me, that longevity came from BMX and mountain biking and just keeping the sport fun and diving
yeah,
into freestyle and race and everything. Like that was my recipe that has allowed me to, yeah, just be who I am on a bike. And I fully tell anyone now, I'm just like, there's not one right path to the top. Like mine looked very different to someone else's that only just raced BMX or only just did, downhill
yeah.
mountain biking. Like mine was sporadic and not really a straight line, but I love it. I wouldn't change anything.
Well, and I love that too, because and that is great advice because I think sometimes young folks nowadays, they get so caught up by wanting to be like someone that they see, and they don't see the background that it's not linear, it's different, right? Just like you said, yours was up and down until you accomplish that goal. Not everyone is going to have that straight path in. It's how you get there that matters. And I will add that it's having fun too. I get it, but you have to have fun along the way.
Yes,
Um,
totally
Mountain
agree.
biking followed you a little later on, and it is a very different skill set and mindset. I was always in awe of folks that can do BMX because I always felt like I was never good at BMX. To this day, I try going in a pump track and I don't even know what I'm doing. But when did mountain bike come into play for you?
Mountain biking was I actually lost a bet to a friend, and
No way.
he either had to do a BMX race or I had to do a mountain bike event.
No
And I look back
way.
now, it was like the best bet I ever lost because I had to go to this local downhill mountain bike race. I was like, borrowed my friend's Kona mountain bike, and I had to push this big heavy downhill bike up this fire road to this race. And I was like, I don't even like downhill. What is this? And I still, even after the race, was like, yeah, I don't love mountain biking. But it evolved from then to when the sport, because I had that BMX background, like
Mhm.
once it evolved into slalom and Craig Work started putting pump track in and I went over to
Yeah.
Sea Otter in the US and did slalom. Then I was like, okay, these are like more closer entry points for a BMX racer to dive into mountain biking confidently.
Mhm.
And from there, yeah, it was that entry point. So from those first four cross world titles to traveling internationally to the four cross pro tours and all of the slalom pump track,
Yeah.
that kind of fed into like Crankworks. And then that became more of like the king and queen hunt. And
Yep.
yeah, that evolved into being like the first girls that were doing an event called Speed and Style, which was the racing and the tricks. At the
Mhm.
time, the sport of freestyle BMX was also taking off as a future Olympic sport. So I put my hand up for that. I went to China and got like a top 5 in the world for freestyle BMX and learnt backflips and just like, yeah, it was kind of, I guess, where I'm at now in my career. Like, you're not afraid to like put your learning plates back on and be like, I'm not good at something, but like I can learn. And
Yeah.
yeah, even though like I was really good at racing and was already at Olympic Games level and World Championship level, like people probably thought I was crazy for like going, I want to learn to do freestyle. And I've like never taken my hands off the handlebars. And you had to go from like a one-hander to a no-hander to, linear tricks
Scary.
and backflips. And um, yeah, I just took, I guess, that same approach that what had worked in building like my racing career and that dedication. I took that same kind of thing to my training. I'd be like, okay, today, like, I'm going to the skate park. I'm learning bar
Yeah.
spins and I'm just going to do 25 fly out bar spins because I'm used to the repetition of like, you go to the BMX track and you do 25 gate starts. So I think you just, yeah,
Talent.
I took that same approach and was like, I'm not good at it, but I'm sure I can learn how to be good at it. And it was one of the most special chapters, I think, of my career being the first girls, the first 5 women to bring in slope style into Crankworks. Like,
Yep.
still to this day, I'm like, that was a career highlight to be able to be a part of that moment in history, be a part of that legacy. I knew that like I held that space, that I was like capable and yeah, wanted to get a podium, wanted to learn like freestyle motocross inspired tricks like Superwoman's and the front flips and just was like, yeah, this is going to be like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
But very quickly I was like, that's cool. I achieved it and like good to take a step back. I'm like 35 and
But you're
the
not old at
young
all.
girls are like 16 and like, you got this.
Have you seen some of these up and comers? They're absolutely nuts. Like I was just telling you about Lily, who's one of our ambassadors, 13 and winning her first pro race. Mayumi is doing things at 16. She was at Crankwork. She didn't compete, but she's doing things that like Hannah Bergman is now doing. And the kid's 16. The progression in some of these goals is absolutely insane.
It's
Absolutely
really
insane.
exciting. It's we've had a few applications. I've got a current scholarship at the moment for an event in the US called MTV Hard League, and it's in Boise, Idaho. And yeah, there's 4 scholarships, 2 up for Australia and New Zealand athletes under the age of 19. So yeah, really targeting those like 10 to 19-year-olds that need to have that exposure, want to go overseas, have the talent, but potentially don't have one, like the mentoring, which can come from myself, or two, the financial exposure to get there. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm really excited to team up with that event. And then they were like, you know what, this is amazing. Like, we're going to throw in 2 more for international athletes as well. And I'm like, $20,000 is epic in this
Oh,
climate to,
yeah.
that and mentoring, and there's a content package involved in that. So,
What?
when the athletes get there, it's like they're not only getting mentored, they're going to race, they're going to have this exposure. And then there's the content side too that myself, my Igniter platform, and MTB Hardly can like share their journey and
Yeah.
like blast them onto the global stage. And it's like a big motivation of this year is just to build what I've always done with like my scholarship program, but turn it into a business. And yeah, that's the evolution of Igniter, which everyone will see over the next 6 months.
Yeah, I was going to ask you all about that too. We're one of the media partners with Braden for MTV Hard League. So we're going to be there covering all of that as well. Um,
Well, you'll get to see
Huge.
the talent out of Australia. Like,
Oh, yeah. And I didn't know that you had that going. So I'd love to be able to promote that at some point and get it out because we do have 25%, 26% of our audience is from Australia, which I think is awesome. So it's good to
wow.
get that out to those athletes too.
We'll share the link. I think we're cutting off submissions probably in the next week. So
Oh,
I'll
yeah. Share it.
I'll send it through today and you can definitely
Awesome.
share it because that would be amazing.
Amazing, amazing. So I have a couple questions for you regarding building that career across disciplines. And like we were just talking about with you, work hard, right? Work hard and you can achieve your goals. Was there a season where things looked fine from the outside, but internally felt a lot harder than people realized? Was that like an Olympic season? Was it a UCI season? Like can you share it with us a little bit about that?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I've had a lot of easy years, I guess you could say, in hindsight, where you're ticking all the boxes, you're strong, you're mentally fit, you're not injured. Those aren't always the easiest years, to be honest, though. Like sometimes, especially in Australian, like we have this underdog mentality just like ingrained in our culture.
Yep.
And I find like if your back's against the wall or like things aren't going right, like as a human, it's easier to dig deep and like find that little bit of an edge or that want to like perform.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was probably the years I had a big off-road vehicle accident in New Year's of 2017. So then from 18, 19, 20 through like those 3 years was all recovery, COVID, like moved from
Yeah.
America back to Australia. I went through a big breakup, like everything, you
Yeah.
name it. And yeah, then my immune system, I got like Epstein-Barr, got super run down, got chronic fatigue. Like it was just a spiral. And I was like, I've had 3 sternum reconstructions. Like it was just wild to get through all of that.
I didn't
And
know you had all of that, girl.
lungs, yeah, I like went under a vehicle and my
Damn.
sternum snapped and then my lungs got punctured in pneumothorax. My heart wall got punctured and that bled out into my lungs. Super lucky to still be here and alive, to be honest. And yeah, that took 3 different reconstructions because the first plate snapped and then the second one, the bolts backed out. So then it was like cabled wide. It very much got like a lot of metal in my chest. So I
You're
was
my hero. I swear to
outside
God.
in that chapter of like identity really challenged me the most because I was like, who am I when I'm not racing? Will I ever return to racing? So the identity thing really challenged me to be like, I read this amazing book called like Wolf Pack, and it was with the American soccer team. And
Mhm.
it was about like leading from the bench. And I was like, you know what? How can I lead from the bench in BMX? Like, that's a very different concept to take into an individual sport.
Mhm.
And you weren't really part of team sports in BMX and mountain biking. So I was like, okay, what can I give back to this like cycling community and what can I do in these 3 years? And that really pushed me to be like, okay, I'm going to do like signature kids balance bikes with DK. I'm going to like write some kids books. I'm going to dive into like coloring competitions. Like I'm going to allow the kids to design my bikes in the future. Um, just kind of like looked at the whole network of like from the start of the roots of like what got me into the sport to then being like an elite athlete and like I really wanted to just piece the puzzle together. And
Mhm.
the challenge for me was always like, I had some great mentors in Lane Beachley. She was a 7-time world surf champion and she gave me one of her Aim for the Stars scholarships. And she just like cold called me one day on the home phone, the old home phone, when I was 14 and said like, hey, I believe in you. You've like won my scholarship. And I got off the phone and I didn't even remember the financial part, but I was like, Mom, Lane Beachley believes in me. Like, best day ever. So that moment was like inspired me in that time period to go, okay, well, how can I push scholarships? How can I give back, especially to the women? Because I felt like at that time it was crucial. I think the narratives changed a lot more now where it's like the opportunities for women is insane. Like whether it's rampage through to hardline through to like slope style, you've got Olympics for freestyle BMX, you've got Olympics for race. Like, um, yeah, I think the narrative is just an amazing spot right now. So it inspired me to start Ignite and just give back
Yep.
that $160,000 to women in sport and ignite all these scholarships over the last 12 years. But I really got to a point this year where I was like, okay, you know what? Like I got capacity. I'm now going to be a mom. I'm diving into broadcasts. Like I'm not racing the Queen of Crankworks titles anymore. Like maybe this is the time period that I turn Ignite into like a business and kind of rebrand it and look at it from a bigger perspective.
Yeah.
So this is the birth of Igniter over the next 6 months. I'll be launching just online education and continuing that to fund scholarships and basically help everyone navigate like how you one, like if you want to look at it from the perspective like being a professional athlete in any sport, how you do that and a bit of the roadmap, but even not to that extreme level, like just how you
Yeah.
can get to those sporting events for that little bit longer or have that little bit extra financial support or treat it as yourself as like a business or a brand and just how you navigate that space of sport because yeah, it was a challenge for me and I was so lucky that I had mentors and managements and agencies over the years and
Yeah.
everything to build, which BMX was never like a mainstream sport. It was
Yeah.
never something that you'd go, yeah, you're going to be the face of cereal companies and phone brands and, be 35, like still doing the sport you love with 25 contracts. It's a job, like it's a career.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't exist. But I've been able to navigate it and that's something I really want to like give back. So this is
And
Ignite.
it's the perfect time because like you said, that it's growing. Women in sport is growing. And that's a huge, like, it's something that's lacking is having that mentorship from other folks and the access to folks like you that can mentor some of these athletes. I think that's incredible. For folks listening, I'm going to put everything in the show notes that you're listening to today. So don't feel like you have to take notes as you're listening. Everything will be available for y'all to hear about it. Um, Caroline, I knew you were in a car accident. I'm so glad that you are still with us. I had no clue it was that horrible, but that to me just makes your story even more fascinating and coming back and still winning championships. Like, what an athlete. And that also speaks to your mental health as well, right? Because you have to be there mentally in order to continue doing to win and with the pressure and the expectations and all of that stuff that comes along with it. So I want to take a step back and go for all the young folks listening to that have Olympic dreams or dreams of competing at an elite level in general. You were 21, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, when you were at the London Olympics.
Yeah.
Is that right? So looking back at that now and keeping in mind that you've been racing since you were 9 years old, how did that level of pressure land at you at that age? Is that something that you gradually worked towards, like the pressure from 9 to 21?
Yeah, definitely. Like it built because of all of the racing and the steps to get to that level. I was also too young for the Beijing games, so I had to like wait until 2012, which
Yeah.
I actually think probably pressure cooked the pressure of it even more because I was capable at 18 to
Yeah.
go. Um,
Yeah.
but no, I think if you unravel it from where I'm at now, looking back, it was only last year that I still had the narrative. I said to someone, oh, yeah, like David Beckham was staring at me and the royal family was like in the crowd and I had won all the rounds and I won the semi-final. I had first lane pick and like, I had the fastest lap times and I got up onto the start gate and like I chose the wrong lane and I was worried about this, favorite
Yeah.
from Great Britain. And I
Yeah.
said, I was like, yeah. And then I choked. And he goes, whoa. He's like, you didn't choke. Like, that's not your weight to carry. And I was like, excuse me? And then I was
Yeah.
like, I kind of had to unravel, like, for all these years since 2012, I'd had this narrative that I choked at the Olympic Games. And he said, no, you didn't choke. That's not your weight to carry. You just didn't have the skill set at the time to handle that amount of pressure and to deliver. You built that skill set later by winning 8 world titles, and you built it later by winning Queen of Crankworks titles and world
Yeah.
first front flips in mountain biking and all these other things. You then had the tools, you had the capacity, you had the knowledge, but at the time,
Mhm.
you just didn't have the skill set. And I was like, huh. I was like, that's been a big weight to carry. You know what? No, I didn't
Yeah.
choke. Thanks for like keeping me accountable. So I think looking back to that, like, yeah, an immense amount of pressure. I didn't have the skill set at the time. I was in probably more of like a defensive mindset going to that Olympics versus being in an offensive mindset. And that changed the following year when I was like, well, I'm going to go to downhill, four cross, BMX. I'm going to take on 3 world titles in like 70 days around the globe. And if I can handle that pressure, I can handle anything. This was like my game plan. Won 2 world titles that year and was like, it was the most simple flow state events. I beat the Olympic champion. I was like, what happened last year? Like,
Yeah.
why am I here now? But what happened 12 months ago? And yeah, it was really that defensive mindset that I was at Olympic Games being like, I'm the best in the world. Like, this is my race to lose. Like, kind of being on the back foot of like trying to defend the goals in soccer, you could say,
Mhm.
versus being like, okay, I'm on the front line. I'm like attacking. I'm being offensive. It's like when you're in that mindset, you're looking for opportunities. You're respecting your competition. You're understanding like anyone can win on the day.
Mhm.
How do I stay in my process? How do I focus on that to get the outcome versus being like, I've already got the outcome and how do I defend this goal so I don't lose?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, that was like the biggest shift that came from then that I was like, I'm never going to sit in this defensive mindset ever again.
Did you have folks help you with mindset work? Like I know Braden Brinhurst is really big on mindset and that dude is just a beast. So was that something that you also worked on with someone or you just developed that as you had that clarity?
It was a lot of clarity from living it and the pressure and being
Mhm.
entrenched in it, but then just wanting to obviously like change and like I really dove into a lot of self-help, like kids
Mhm.
books,
Mhm.
not kids books, but like kind of self-help books into like the power of now and mindset and went like a little bit more spiritual for a BMXer. You wouldn't think like how
Yeah.
to channel energy and chi and just,
Yeah.
I think I was like, you know what? There's a bigger thing to sport than like just eat, sleep, train, repeat and like a process to get an outcome. And yeah, I think that was the biggest change. I went into the next year and I was being on Buddhist meditation retreats and I understood how to like control my breathing and I understood how to control my mindset and listen to all these autobiographies and just different people's stories. And then that entrenched with like setting the goalpost of like aim for the stars, land on the moon mentality was
Yep.
like, we'll take on 3 world titles the next year in 2 sports. And to walk away with 2, I was like, okay, like all these lessons have been huge and a huge milestone of like 20 to 21 in my life.
Uh-huh.
Um, but yeah, it was really just doubling down, investing into myself and understanding like I didn't have the tool set and I needed to expand that tool set. And as an individual athlete, like you kind of create your own team and
Mhm.
you sort of have to like be your own doctor and you have to like do all these things that team
Yeah.
sports don't necessarily have to do.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was such like a strength and asset of that time period because I just went, all right, I'm going to look into like biomechanics and I want to have the best gate start in the world. So like I'm never cut off in my career ever again. And like, um, yeah, just reached outside the box to other sporting mindset coaches through Red Bull who'd worked with elite athletes like Mick Fanning and surfing. And
Mhm.
I just picked a lot of people's brains to be like, how do I get better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's incredible because you had that self what's the word I'm looking for? It's like you internally knew what you wanted. Lee Donovan spoke about this to me. She said that if half of the athletes could get their mindset correctly, their game would change. Their riding would change, their focus would change, like everything would change. I'm never going to forget one time she told me she was on a race, on an enduro race, and she looked a split second, like someone was like cheering her on, and she just looked for like a second. And she said that threw her focus off of the entire race, and
Oh
and
no.
she's convinced, like, that's why she didn't win the race she was on, but it's that mental strength, that mental game that I think sets you apart from a lot of athletes too, because that's the longevity aspect of it. That's how you keep going, right? So, what feels mentally lighter now for you, and what feels heavier? Is there such a thing that you feel right now about that with that?
About like that whole sort of time period or
Mhm. About
I
your time period then, what feels yeah.
think, well, the lightness part is just not carrying that weight of I
Yeah.
choked, but having the clarity of like I just didn't have the tool set at the time and that exposed that I didn't have the tool set to win on the world's biggest stage.
Yeah.
And then it forced me to really double down onto that. So I encourage like anyone that's listening that sport is so much like business. And if you like listen to any entrepreneurial business book, like or person, they'll say, yeah, I had the best mentors or I got exposure in all these areas, or I like got help for my business, or I became like a better leader.
Yeah.
Um, in sport, you, especially when you're an individual sport and like there's big egos involved, you don't always look at how can I be better? How can I expand my team? How can some Buddhist monks teach me to like have a
Yeah.
better mindset? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like you would never think that. Like you're an elite adrenaline action sport junkie. Like
That's a great point. Like a
how do
calm
you
zen. Yeah. How do you sit still for? Yeah. I don't know. So you were talking about how being an Olympian was something you've wanted since you were a kid, right? You had that vision in your head. Did competing in the Olympics change how you saw yourself as an athlete or how others expected you to show up afterwards?
Yeah, definitely. I think everything we've sort of just touched upon was the biggest change point
Yeah.
personally in how I viewed myself and leveled up and changed my approach to be a lot more holistic to the sport. And then, yeah, how people, I guess, looked at me because I put the learning plates back on and I dove into like, went to the worlds and did downhill in South Africa and was doing like BMX and mountain biking and just became like this
Badass.
animal. Like, I want to do everything. Like, took my complete ADHD to a new level. And yeah, so I think that really it helped me understand like there's two ways to win and everyone has a different journey and that was my success recipe. And that
Right.
I didn't want to be just. I didn't want to like follow this yellow brick road. Like I needed to have some change. I needed to keep it fun.
Right.
I needed to be challenged. Like I love doing dual sports.
Yeah.
I kept it fresh and exciting leading into like the next Olympic Games.
Yeah. That's incredible. Uh, very I'm so proud to be an Aussie right now. I'm just gonna say that because I'm incredibly in awe of you because I think you're an incredible athlete. I wanted to switch a little bit to more of the training and the long game, and you have been doing BMX and cycling since you were a child. So, did your training evolve as your body and priorities changed? I know post accident things changed a lot for you, but as you were evolving, not just mentally, because we talked about the mind game, but physically, like how did your training evolve as your priorities changed?
It evolved a lot, but I think like the fundamentals were always the same. Like when I was 9, I wanted to train. Like I just was busy and active, and
Yeah.
my mum and dad saw that. So like I actually had like a PT, and I was in the gym just doing like body weight isometric, like
What?
squats and things, like not like proper weights, but I
Right,
was
right, right.
learning how to move. I was in an environment with people, and I was like challenged. I loved it. So I think the fundamentals of like being surrounded by like the people I needed to be surrounded with like early, like the 9-year-old.
Hmm.
I thrived in that environment. My parents were like, all right, like, can she even be in a gym at 9? Like, let's go ask a PT. Like, can
Valid
she
question.
circuits and balance and like learn to squat and all this stuff from a young age. It changed when I was 14. I guess I could say I started more with ACTAS, which is like our state development, which then feeds into AIS, which is our Australian um, high performance system. And yeah, I was building from the age of like 14 with BMX, like my whole strength and power system. Because to be at the top of BMX racing, like when I was weighing about 64 kilo, which I don't know what that is in pounds now, 2.2, double it.
Um,
Um,
64
I,
kilos to pounds. I'm Googling it.
yeah, I was then squatting like 150 kilo and I was power cleaning 90 kilo.
Jeez Louise. Okay, folks listening in the US, so 64 kilos is 141 pounds. And say the other one, how much were
So
you?
150 kilo squat was my like
150 kilo squat, 330 pounds.
it was like my 1 rep max squat, and then my power clean from the floor was a 90 kilo.
200 pounds.
Yeah. So the power to weight ratio to be like the best BMXer in the world is insane. Like you're lifting like a CrossFit athlete, your power to weight ratio is amazing. Yeah, so I think that was like the capacity I built from like 14 through to like being a 20-year-old at my first games.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then after injury, like my body couldn't really match that same level of intensity. Like was trying to get back to that, but I'd been out for
Mhm.
2, 3 years, and the girls had just jumped again, like, that strength and power capacity is even higher now. So, yeah, I think, I dipped a bit and then realized, like, oh, I'd always liked racing from the front, like, I'd never actually liked being in the pack, like, I was so scared.
Yeah.
And then I just thought, you know what? Like, it was really 2020, that Olympics, like wanting to go for a third time. I kind of took a step back and was like, yeah, I think it's more from a place of like my ego talking, just wanting to go. But I was like, do I really need to go? Is my
Mm.
body telling me like you can't really
Yeah.
have that same capacity? Like, is there more things in life that you love? And it kind of challenged me because I was like, you know what? I freaking love mountain biking. Like, I haven't really challenged Queen of Crankworks. I haven't really opened the door to that because I'd been wanting to go to another games. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, it was like the best thing I ever did. I was like, you know what? I'm going to retire from BMX. Like, I'm stoked with that chapter. No, I never like got the medal at the Olympic Games that I always dreamed of. But I was like, okay with it. I put it to bed and was like, mountain biking is epic. Like, there's a whole opportunity here. Like, let's lean into that.
Yeah.
Let's put your all into it and just see where that goes.
Yeah. And it suits you really well too. I saw you at the dual slalom at Sea Otter last year. It was absolutely incredible to watch you
Amazing.
do that. Sorry if you're hearing my doggo. He's coming in and out. Um, Sawyer. Okay. Um, so this one is also because I do have a section of questions I want to ask you in terms of like advice for young riders as well, folks that are coming up. But this one kind of goes along with it. How did you handle burnout or mental fatigue when stepping away just wasn't really an option? How did you handle that?
Um, I went through many times where I kinda had that mental burnout or you hit your limits, and I think it was just more being open to, like, having support from psychologists, having support from self-help books, getting the tools to, like, prioritize going and doing yoga or doing some
Yeah.
meditation or going to Reiki. Like, I just because my world was so, like, high adrenaline, like, I'd come back to California and go see a, like, local Reiki lady, like, the week after a World Cup. Like, what a great come down. Um, that really helped with burnout, just being like, "Okay, like, you can't be completely on in this adrenaline extreme all the time.
Yeah.
Fight or flight, like, there's gotta be a retreat, there's gotta be a downtime, there's gotta be a surrender," and, yeah, that became, like, the yin-yang balance to my success to, like, come back, reset, go away, do
Yeah.
all the races again.
Yeah. That's incredible. Yeah, you talk a lot about that. I might have to start doing something like that for me because sometimes things just get a little too much.
Yeah.
But psychologists do help and mental I do like a little journal that Braden has taught me to do all the time too for mindset stuff. Because I just had surgery on my ankle in September. I had double ankle reconstruction surgery, but my goal has always been to climb Mount Kilimanjaro on my mountain bike. And so I started strength training for that like 4 weeks after surgery. But I can't get on the bike yet. So it's been really, really tough to
Oh, yeah, it's challenging.
um
One thing through injuries, I've always had this saying like, "This too shall pass," and
Mhm.
it the good shall pass, like that podium, that glory, that opportunity, that new sponsor, that's gonna pass just as quickly as that setback or that injury or that hardship is gonna pass as well. So, when I was going through all the injuries, it was that mindset of like, you might wake up and have the toughest day, but still do your 3 gratefuls, still like charge on with your day. But no, like that time period is temporary and like that too shall pass. And
Yeah.
had like a great mentor at the time. And they're like, there's only two things you can really control. And it's like your effort and your attitude. And despite what's going on, like if your attitude is always the best that you can handle at the time and you're putting in that effort to like your rehab or your training or um, whatever that chapter of your journey is at that moment, then that's all you can truly control.
Yeah, 100%. I love that's such great advice. Because I hadn't thought about it that way either. I hadn't thought about it like you usually think that in the negative side, right? Like the negative is going to pass. You don't think about that goal you've been chasing is also going to pass. And then what are you going to
Yeah,
do? Right? Like
everything's
um everything is temporary. But you know something that's not temporary is you about to become a mom to an incredible little human. How are you feeling about that? How
temporary.
exciting.
Super exciting. I've always wanted to be a mom. It's always been a part of like, I guess, a driving force to my career as well. And it's always been a
Yeah.
part of my why and identity. And I knew it was like a chapter that I wanted to do. Last year, I feel like I squeezed a lot out of my career. Like my training program with my gym trainer was called the Final Squeeze because I was like,
Really?
I want to go on podium at Sea Otter, on a podium some more crank works. Like, I just want to squeeze as much out of my body as I can prior to thinking about having a family and returning to racing in the future. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was last year, just squeezing it all out.
And you did it. I mean, I saw you podium at Sea Otter, so that was pretty bomb.
Yeah, and just like also taking the opportunities with like broadcast, which I never thought I would do,
Yeah.
and from one opportunity with Nitro Circus and like my first interview being Travis Pastrana and being absolutely terrified. I was like, don't even know what I said. But that evolved to like the next Red Bull event and then Olympics with Australia, like sent me to Paris and I interviewed all our amazing action sport athletes in like skateboarding and we won gold, like Arissa
Yeah.
True. Yeah, and we just had like all these medals and it was like back to back and it really, yeah, like ignited that passion of full circle. Like I'm so proud to be an Olympian, like despite my forthcomings and not winning medals, like I was still a bit upset. And then I was saw from the other side of the fence, like being Olympic Games and sharing other people's like story and their voice.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, just being that projector and being in that role and holding space for their emotions as well. I was like, you know what? I'm so proud to be an Olympian. And
You
yeah, it
should
really
be.
just solidified like the power of sport for me when I was seeing it all from a different perspective.
Yeah, and you should be. And in the broadcasting side, you're good at it. Like I remember the first time I was watching Hardline and I saw you at the bottom at the corral. And I told Lauren, I was like, that's Caroline Buchanan. Because I don't think like okay, I'm gonna be honest, some people already know the story, but I totally fangirled when I saw you at Sea Otter last year. I don't know if you could tell, but I was like completely fangirling. And when you recognized me, I was like, "Holy cow, Caroline Buchanan, like, said hi to me." I was for real. So your story with Travis Pastrana is how I'm feeling like right now. So I get it. But in all
Bubbling.
seriousness, in all seriousness, with the broadcasting, I think you're great. And I'm really glad to see that evolving for you as well. Like seeing you at Rampage last year was really cool having you be one of the voices on the podium. We definitely need more women, not on the podium, sorry, on the broadcasting. We definitely need more women there. We were talking a little bit offline about baby and baby coming up and how your perspective has changed in terms of perceived danger, I guess, right? So does that mean do you feel a little bit more grounded now? Like, has that mom instinct kicked in? Are you feeling more grounded or are you feeling more driven?
Um, More grounded and probably risk adverse from that perspective of like
Yeah.
it's primal. Like
Yeah.
it's a change I didn't think that I would feel and like my brain felt it before I knew what was happening. I didn't know I was pregnant at Rampage, crawling the mountain, being like scared for
Yeah.
everyone's safety. I didn't even know like I was pregnant at Sea Otter racing when my like legs were cramping. And I turned to Ryan Gilchrist and I was like, why am I getting like full leg lock cramps? He's like, I
Oh,
don't know, you're probably just really deconditioned. I was like, oh, I'm not deconditioned. I'm just,
what?
I just didn't know I was pregnant. But yeah, so your body keeps score. Like my body knew before I knew. Um, but yeah, I think I'd say more grounded, but in a sense also like it has inspired me since knowing I'm pregnant to just be like, I've wanted to evolve, ignite over the last 8 years into that business and the sport needs it. And it's so saturated, the industry in terms of the mental side. It's so saturated
Mhm.
like with Whoop and how to sleep and what to eat and all these things
Yeah.
like that. It's not saturated in how you navigate to make a career, how to have longevity, how to build relationships. Like, how do you build a 16-year relationship with Oakley?
Yep.
And like
Yep.
10 with ODI. And I just think that's like a whole space that kids, they have all the tools and social media and everything's so easy accessible, but the actual roadmap and like Canva templates and how to
Yeah.
hustle, how to positively like self promote for yourself and all of that, like no one talks
Yeah.
about. stuff.
No.
Just the transparency and like not gatekeeping of like, like what does $100,000 contract look like in the industry and like what are the expectations and managers don't do everything and like what you have to do yourself. I think like I just want to expose all of that. But not just being about me, like, yeah,
Yeah.
bringing
I
other
know.
people involved and bringing other athletes and other brands into this big ego space too, because I'm fortunate that I've got to meet a lot of epic people over the years. And I was like,
Yeah.
everyone just needs to get together and
Agreed. I
so
agree.
there's a lot of noise. Just cut the
There
noise.
is. I'll chat to you offline because in the last couple of years, have been helping athletes on the side with their contracts and
Amazing.
teaching them about the importance of what they need to look for in the contracts and
Yeah.
saying, don't give up your rights, your intellectual property. Don't give up your posts. Like Jess Hanna is one of my best mates. She's the first person I started helping with this. And when I was telling her what some of the stuff meant, she was like, what? I've been doing
Mhm.
that this whole time. And I'm like, yeah, girl, like you need to push back on some of this stuff.
Yeah.
But we'll talk offline.
Love that.
I wanted to chat to you a little bit now just to kind of wrap things up, but I really wanted to ask a segment here. We're going to call it advice for writers and up and comers. Um, so there's a series of questions I wanted to ask you, and it kind of goes with Ignite too, and everything that you're running on there too. I think we can piggyback off of that. But what do you what do you think young writers focus on too early and they can miss entirely?
I would say probably like focusing on one sport and
Mm,
obsessing and like just really refining. I would say that actually like comes at a bit of a detriment. I think the best athletes in the world are the ones that have either done dual sports or
mhm,
like you look at the ones even in mountain biking right now, like Ryan Gilchrist is going into hardline and he's one of the best athletes in the world at generating speed. He's a pump track world champion. He won the King of
yeah,
Crankworks. He won enduro. Like if anyone is an all round athlete, you like, and his trajectory started in BMX. It started like, and he's now in that position to take on a hardline course. So yeah, I would say maybe just specializing a little too young can actually be a detriment. I would
mm,
encourage anyone, like, it's great to have like goals,
yeah,
but, but be open to like broadening them and challenging
yeah,
yourself in other ways because I think it just really makes you more of a diverse athlete. It gives you that resilience and it allows you to pivot because sport changes so fast too. And when I started at 8, if I just was always just going to be this flat track BMX kid, I would have never evolved into having the skill sets I learned in mountain biking to adapt when it became supercross and became an Olympic sport. And all of a sudden we're doing
yeah.
40-foot jumps, like often
No, thank
off a huge start tower. Like that skill set and being ready for that came from mountain biking, which I was like, whoa, didn't know the
yeah,
sport was going to change and be Olympic. So you never know, like,
yeah,
yeah, what's going to
yeah.
come. Just be versatile.
I love that. I love that so much. All right, here's the next question for you. What matters most in your opinion? Like in the long run. So what matters more in the long run? Talent, consistency, or patience? Or maybe I left something out that you think
Ooh.
matters even more.
Well, I've always actually said you need like the three from like an athletic perspective. It's like the three M's, like murder, mongrel, magic. You kind of need them all. But then from a branding perspective, I've always said you need to have that authenticity, the consistency, and then also be like unique. And I think like those are like the branding pillars to like, if you're unique, if you're authentic to yourself and you have that consistency and that cadence, like that's going to have that longevity and show through and align you with the right brands. Um, so I just like, I can't split it to being like one thing. I think it's
Yeah, no.
a blend mentally and it's a blend physically as well as from on field and off field is like equally just as important now
Yeah.
to make a career out of it.
Yeah. No, I love it. It's way better answer than my question. I love it. All right, I got two more for you on here. What do you tell someone who's talented, but they're tired?
They're tired.
Yeah. Like they're just tired. They're burnt out.
I would just tell them to have like a bit of a reset.
Mm,
Whenever I've been like a bit burnt out in my career, like I've had more of that external spiritual look at like
Mm-hmm.
the yin and the yang. Like you got this like
Mm-hmm.
high performance, or you've got this adrenaline fight or flight beast. But like, how do you have that retreat? How do you have that mindset? How do you have that surrender? How do you have like self care's not weakness and rest is not weakness? And I think we're
Great.
programmed in a world to like do more, be more. Like,
Yep.
but yeah, you've got to have that to kind of recharge. So
I
yes,
love
I
that.
would say just expand those opportunities and yeah, don't be afraid to dive into some of the spiritual stuff and like connecting with yourself a bit more.
Yeah. 100%. As we have learned already in this podcast, that has helped you tremendously. And I think it shows that it works. Is that something you would wish someone had told you at 18? Like, what's something
Well,
you wish someone would have told you when you were 18?
well, I was actually super fortunate when I was around 18 coming into like first games. We had this mindset coach, Nam Baldwin, who worked with a lot of the elite athletes in Australia, like Jess Fox, who's a multiple um, canoe kayak like Olympian world champion, as well as our surfer Mick Fanning. And
Yeah.
yeah, he basically said he challenged all of us to understand our why. And if you can understand like your why and why you're an athlete, why you want to be on this earth, why you do what you do, what matters to you, then basically when you have like hardships or accidents or crashes or burnout or things are like out of control, you can have a lot more like clarity to come back to like why you're doing what you're doing.
Mhm.
So I would say that's probably like the best advice was I was like quite young and that expanded to now. Like I look back and I'm like, now motherhood has been a part of that why. Like
Yeah.
my financial freedom's been a part of that why. My ability to like be a dual athlete has been a part of that why. So it's spanned, 15, 20 years of having so much purpose. I'll share my why because I just pulled off my phone a minute
Oh,
ago. So
yes.
yeah, to anyone who's like obviously listening and is like, what do you mean? How do I understand like my why?
Yeah.
Mine is I believe I was put on this earth to elevate action sport, bridge the gaps for females in action sport, live out for my talent, live out my talents for myself, but also for the world. Writing keeps me present in life. I love the struggle and the competition. I want to leave a legacy as a champion and one of the most accomplished, respected action sport females of my generation. Um, I'm a cycling generational talent. I would like
Yes.
to have an income stream for me, my freedom as a female, and for my future family. Uphold high standards and morals to base accomplishment off pride and effort, not always results. To invest back into me, women in sport, and continuously provide inspiration, build momentum, inspire through action, and lead by example. To be what I couldn't see. And to be what I couldn't see is like when I was growing up, like I couldn't see females in my position. So I was like, okay, I just want to continue to be what I couldn't see. I care and I'm making a difference and I do it because I fucking love it. And so
That
that was my why from like 18. And part of that, like when I was doing slope style and like lining up for like world first front flips and everything, like I'd be terrified. And I'd be like sitting up there, I'd be like tapping and I'd be like, I'm guided and protected. Like I'm living out my talents for me and for the world. Like, I had to be like, I got this. Like I'm fine. Um, so I would say like dialing in your why kind of gives you that confidence. It gives you that self-belief. It makes you unshakable. And then, even now when I look back, I'm like, even being a motherhood and that financial freedom and having the sponsors and everything this year, I'm like, none of my sponsors dropped me. Like, this is amazing. I got
that is
support.
amazing.
I'm in a mum chapter. Like, this has all been part of my why. Like, it's
I
just good.
love that, Caroline. Like, I literally have the goosebumps right now. That's freaking amazing, dude. That's so good. I need to do one of those because I haven't. Like, I have things in my head, but you're right. Maybe you have it written out, have it on your phone, read it, right? Every once in a while, recenter yourself to what you wanted to be. Oh God, chills.
Yes,
Um,
it's very powerful.
it's very powerful. It's very powerful. I'm gonna ask one more question for you here, and then we might just jump quickly into some rapid fire questions that
Sure.
I do with guests. So you've seen the sport from multiple angles over the years. When you look at opportunities for women and girls today, what do you think feels genuinely better? And we touched on this a little bit, but what do you think feels genuinely better And where do you think there's still some work to do?
Genuinely better, I think, is just the opportunities. Like every
Mm,
door is open, every pathway is open, every opportunity is open. Like you can be whatever you want to be in the sport of mountain biking and just in sport in general. There isn't roadblocks, there's no limitations. If you want to get there, like you'll get there. I love that that's now the narrative. Limitations, I think probably there's still like some stigmas, like for sure, that are around. I think girls just really need to embrace like their capacity and embrace like there's different perspectives and ways to approach. And for me, like I had to change some of the perspectives of brands like Harley Davidson when they were launching like a new motorbike. And
mhm.
they were promoting through like a lot of men, but they were really trying to like target their audience. And I was like, I went to him and I said, hey, like, even though I'm a female, like my audience is actually 85% male. It's in your target demographic. Like I speak to your audience.
Yeah,
And they changing that perspective was like, oh, actually, you know what? You're right. Like we are trying to target like more men and we've been using men to target men, but you know what? Like this is rad. Like we'd love to teach you how to ride a bike and you get your learners and showcase this journey from a different perspective. So yeah, I still think that that's a little bit of a, yeah, maybe the stigmas around women just to like flip the script a little bit and like see the opportunities that actually where they
yeah.
can see those
I
gaps.
love that. That's a cool story too about the Harley Davidson. And that's an example of your entrepreneurial mind and thinking about your brand and how you can ultimately go back to your why and live your why authentically. I appreciate you sharing that with us. I wanted to do some rapid fire questions. We do these here where we ask you a question you don't think, you just answer. And they're
Cool.
super fun. It's not meant to trap you. And if you don't know, we can skip. So, for example, if I ask you clipless or flats,
Flats.
really? Okay. Flats. All right. Chamois or no chamois?
Oh, no chamois.
That's a really 50-50 question I've asked people in the past. Early mornings or late sessions?
Late sessions
Training alone or with a group?
with a group.
Mountains or pump tracks?
Mountains
Oh, could have sworn you were going to say something else. Okay. Strength training or on bike days?
on bike days.
All right. Favorite place you've ever raced?
Um, Probably like in a bullfighting arena in Madrid, Spain.
What?
Yeah.
That sounds pretty epic. I'll have to ask about that later. Coffee before or after a ride?
Before.
Do you ride for fun or do you ride with a goal?
Both.
Huh? That's a good one.
But
One
I'd say I
word.
ride for fun. The goals come later.
Okay. Yeah, I love that. I like that. Last one. One word that describes where you're at right now.
Um, Happy.
Oh, I love
Living my why.
that.
I don't know. Mum era.
Living your why. That's awesome. And you're about to make one of those a reality by being a mom. Like that was on your why list, right? Like that's incredible.
Yes.
Um, Thank you so, so much, Caroline, for taking the time and speaking with us here. Like I said before, for everyone listening, I'm going to put all this information in there, including all the info for Ignite and where you can find these resources, especially for those of you in New Zealand and Australia. And I'd love to see folks come to Hard MTB League this year. It's going to be epic. It's going to be so epic. Send me the links for those scholarships, Caroline. I'd love to do a
Well,
little
I think
post.
we've got like a week still, so just get in.
Um, so where can listeners follow along with you and what's next with you? What's the best place spot to keep in touch?
Yeah, so follow along my Instagram. You can type in Caroline Buchanan or just at C Buchanan68. And yeah, I always follow the journey on there. Next is Hardline in Australia. So tune
Yeah.
into that broadcast, as well as the Australian series, as well as the Hard MTB League from the scholarship side, as well as just keep your eyes peeled on Igniter and that whole launch that's coming because it's for everyone. It's for all
Yeah.
athletes,
I love that.
male, female, everyone around the world. And look forward to using just that extensive network over the years to help this next generation. It's been a big beast. My dad's amazing. He's an IT. He's been helping me bring it all together. And
Nice.
yeah, super excited about that.
That's incredible. Amazing. Well, folks listening, thank you for tuning in and listening to our podcast tonight. I hope you are having a great day and or night wherever you are listening from. And Caroline, thank you again. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.